All right. Well, good evening, everybody. Hi, this is Elizabeth and Jeff Beaudre, the owners of Tipple's Brews and Wines here in Gainesville, Florida. And this week, thank you for joining us for this week's Tuesday virtual wine tasting. We're going to be drinking some of the most fun wine to say, the Gundlach Bundshu Merlot from Sonoma, California. So jumping right in, let's pour some and then we'll start talking about it. So if you haven't already opened up your wine, I like to bring mine down to cellar temperature around 55 degrees to start the evening. We'll warm up from there in our wonderful Floridian homes. I throw mine in the refrigerator, my reds, for about 30 minutes before I open them. Let's jump over to the screen if you would. Talk about pairings.
Okay.
Thank you.
I didn't even get a chance to like savor my
It's not
taste.
time yet.
Like,
Nope.
throw my glass on the.
Right. No sip for you. Pairings with this guy are filet mignon, blue or gorgonzola cheeses, roast mushrooms, or lamb. Great ratings on this guy. Suckling 93 points, Jeb Dunnick 90 points. That is not uncommon for this Merlot, time and time again.
Okay.
Now you're allowed to smell.
I already tasted.
So this guy is 92% Merlot, 4% Cabernet Sauvignon, 2% Cab Franc, 2% Malbec. So it's done in a kind of a Bordeaux blended style. Though, I mean, we're talking about 92% Merlot. You're essentially, getting that effect there. I've seen it go down into as low as like the 84% or so of Merlot on different vintages. They do change it depending on what they're getting from the grapes that year. So depending on the weather, they will change the blend to get the best wine they can. Alcohol is 14.5%. And this guy sees about 17 months on oak, 100% French oak, 40% of which is new. So we've talked about oak a little bit in the past. French oak is more subtle than American. So we shouldn't get pounded over the head with a bunch of vanilla and toasted oak flavors. It should just kind of enhance what's going on.
And what's the difference between it being new or older?
Or older. So the new is
Go ahead.
The new is going to impart a lot more flavor from the oak into it, a lot more spice.
Because it's more freshly cut.
Right.
Okay. And then does old mean that they were like the boards were sitting there for a while, or they were used on previous vintages?
They were used on previous vintages.
Okay.
Reasonable question. In fact, an excellent question. All right.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. First, I want to look at this. It's an inky, beautiful, dark wine. This is not a timid expression of Merlot, which is why I wanted to do that. Obviously, you guys saw from the password that I made this week reference to the infamous, as far as Merlot was concerned, movie Sideways, because the password was effing Merlot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so.
I don't get to see the password.
No, because just ours just.
I miss your dad joke every time.
So many dad jokes.
I'm so sad.
You make up for it by dealing with it through all the other waking hours of my day.
All the time.
I think it's spicy right off the nose. Like the nose gets in there with nice spice. It's not, because there's a lot of Merlot, and the Merlot that they might have been, kind of disparaging in the movie is more of an over oaked heavy Merlot where you're just getting this vanilla cream, cherry cream, effect. This guy has character much more in a Bordeaux style.
Yeah, I actually wouldn't have, not that I'm great at identifying, but I wouldn't have tagged it as a Merlot.
I totally get that. Yeah.
Okay.
So this is probably inappropriate. Well, not very, but my favorite Merlots, I always nickname them cab drinkers Merlots.
Okay.
So they've got a little more structure. They got some nice tannin. They're dry, and they express all what Merlot can do. Merlot doesn't have to be just plum, cherry, and vanilla. It can have spice and structure, and It can become very difficult to distinguish a well-grown Merlot from a Cabernet Sauvignon. Absolutely valid.
Yeah, I would say it, to me, I would have probably said it was a cab, but it tastes a little different than what I'm used to with cabs. So I think that difference from what I'm tasting is it's not a cab.
Right, yeah.
You know?
I would go there. I think where the difference goes is Merlot is famous for plum flavors.
Okay.
And I would think you get more of like a red plum going on with this guy. I see Linda celebrating. She must have made that call. And Merlot is famous for that. It's much more, you know, with Cab, you're going to get lots of, you get cherry and you can kind of get raspberry and then all these other flavors in there and that kind of thing. But with Merlot, you're going to get, and this one does have some cherry to it because it has some cool growth Merlot. And we'll talk about that. This is actually kind of it's all from one vineyard and it's an estate vineyard, but they have two sections. So they have a section that's cooler growth Merlot and a section that's warmer growth Merlot. The warmer growth Merlot is going to give you more of the plum flavors and some spiciness. The cooler growth Merlot will get you more of the tannin and some of the minerality that we'll get in. So, and then between the two, you're going to pick up some herbs, which I am getting a bit of an herbal quality, kind of a green.
Jeff, quick questions, Brian. So how do you get the varying temperatures out of one sort of estate vineyard? How do you get cool growth and warm growth?
I actually have, and I have a map to show you exactly how that is. So
awesome.
Is that next?
It is not next. Okay. No, we will get to it.
You have to wait, Brian.
That's right. All shall be revealed. But it's an excellent question, Brian, and that's why I included a map that shows exactly how that can be, because I thought this is going to be difficult to visualize. So I'm getting some nice, so not a ton of herbiness, but some nice like thyme or tarragon kind of thing. You know, those kind of more gentle, sweeter green herbs.
When I first opened it, I thought it was kind of brambly. I get a little bit less of that now that I'm actually eating with it, but like that was like my first thing. I was like, oh yeah, this is very you know, slightly herbally, but yeah, very brambly.
Yeah, I can go there. I like that whole observation, because there is that kind of thing where you've got plenty of plum in this guy, and you've got some cherry, but you're right, there are some other kind of those red bramble grapes and a little raspberry thing going on in there as it kind of transitions throughout a bit of different types of fruit. It may, right, you know, as it opens, it may even get some more, you know, darken into blackberry, but right now I'm getting more red berries, cherry, and certainly red plum, along with some nice little baking spice, but nothing overt, nothing crazy big, but, you know, kind of a nice spicy quality to it.
I feel like I'm getting.
So I'm glad you just said bacon, because my favorite sip I've had of the wine so far is we have this hot bacon jam, like a spicy bacon jam that on our charcuterie tray. And I was like, actually, that was the best combination of all the different things we've tried with it.
There you go.
So
I can totally, yeah, that would be great, because honestly, with the minerality, this is actually, and we'll cover this, but we've talked about this enough. We've been in Sonoma before. There's a volcanic, it's a volcanic ash soil. And so to me, there's a little bit of a graphite and a bit of a smoky quality going on in the background. To me, more that than chocolatey. I wouldn't go chocolate this week on this wine. I'd say at this point, what it's given me is more of a graphite minerality and then kind of a bit of a baking spice.
Yeah. Definitely. I think
like an allspice. There's something a little savory, but baking spice.
I think the minerality was, I think I was misidentifying it as like a tartness at first, but I'm definitely tasting the minerality.
Which is a really nice, it's really nice complexity. And this is very similar to some of what we would discuss if we were drinking a Bordeaux, which is what I like about this.
Okay.
Because it's got that nice complexity and really nice dryness. I mean, I don't think anyone out there is thinking this is a sweet wine, right? We're not
No.
talking about a wine that's so fruity that you might misconstrue it to be
Mhm.
sweet. This guy is not that. This guy's got complexity and elegance and muscle.
So if we had like 5 wines lined up, you could be like, this is a cat, just from tasting, this is a cat, this is Merlot, this is a Bordeaux, this is a Pinot Noir.
Yes, generally, unless, I mean, there are things, for example, this, I might accidentally,
Mhm,
say this, I might say, oh, that's Bordeaux because of
Okay.
the qualities to it.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
And so there were things that can mimic different areas of the world.
Okay.
So you can certainly easily make a miss call
Mm-hmm.
on that. Or you might even, this guy in particular, you might say, oh, that's a cab.
Mhm,
You know?
Right,
Yeah, because
Okay.
it's got that
but
cab
in general,
quality to
you
it.
could do that, and I would be like, it's red.
I can
I
usually
taste
get
it,
it right. Not always, but usually.
Okay.
Mhm.
I mean, there's one type of wine that I'm not too into.
Yes. Yeah, you'd be able to identify that one. No
Okay.
problem. All right, let's go look into let's go to the map.
You said the map was not next, or at least the one that Brian
but-
wants to see
No,
is
no,
not
not
Yeah.
Brian's map.
Better
Okay.
late than never.
That's right. We're going to work our way in. So
Okay.
here we are, the United States wine regions. And so this week we are shockingly once again here. Which I'm going to be saying that a lot over time.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how it's going to be. When I'm saying here, it's going to be a truly intriguing week. But I don't see that happening anytime soon. I really don't. All right, so here we are in California as a whole. So we are up here on the North Coast. And here's Napa there and Sonoma here. So we'll keep zooming in, but we're on the North Coast. And here is Sonoma. So we are down in the southernmost part of Sonoma for these guys. They are actually, here's Sonoma City. They're right outside Sonoma. Is where Gundlach Bundshu is. Gunbun for short. They call themselves that. Oh, by the
You
way.
said that last week. Yeah, and you said the cork has.
The
I
cork, there
didn't
it
see
is. Do you guys look at your cork to see the emoji versions there?
That is awesome.
Let me jump back real quick. I can't show you on the camera because we're fixed in our
Yeah, it's a little farther away.
Yeah.
But if you look at the side of the cork.
yeah. But yeah, take a look at that. I love that they include that the little emoji. Gundlach Bundshu.
Yes.
Right there. Great German names. All right, so back over.
Hey, you did it.
Hey. So I showed you we're down here. So by the way, you see this is San Pablo Bay. So this answers why, and we'll see an even better example. How do you have cooler areas and warmer areas? You see the elevation here, and this, so what we have is fog coming in to this area from the bay, cooling things off. But if you get up into some elevation up here at all, the fog doesn't reach it. And so you get warm growth.
Okay.
So in the same area, right as when you're in that, if you're at the point where the fog hits, but stops, which is where we are in these guys, they have the southernmost part of their vineyard gets the fog, the more northern part does not get the fog. And that is why. Here is the vineyard. Like most of our vineyards that we look at, it's hideous. Who would want to go there? Oh.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah, and this is their actual vineyard.
So it's all their own grapes.
It is. This is the oldest family-owned winery in California. 1850, I've got it written down here. 1858. Yeah. Owned by the same family the entire time, and it's all estate grown. Which is kind of fun. I mean, I know we love that kind of a. So here's the map I was talking about for Brian. So you can see here's the fog hitting the southern part of the vineyard, and then here are the areas that don't get the fog. So they can have cool growth and warm growth in the same estate.
Yeah. It's amazing.
I was so glad they included that. It's like, that's a great example.
Yeah, how much the fog affects their temperature. It's, I mean, yeah, it's amazing.
Well, what you end up with is they have vineyards where they literally have maritime effect and non-maritime effect. And overall, it's a very dry area. We talked about this with Sonoma before.
That was not me. Jeff
No.
has the mouse.
So we talked about Sonoma before. So we're talking about the southern part of Sonoma Valley has a combination cooling fog, which quickly chills the fruit down at night and delays the warmth in the morning as it burns off. But then you also have the other part that gets just a ton of sun, but all of it gets very little precipitation. So they can really control the amount of water that's getting in these grapes.
They're irrigating it themselves.
So they can do what's called long hang time, which is allow the grapes to ripen over a long term, and even once they are ripe, let them gain character without worrying about getting an unexpected rain that will then dilute the quality of the juice. The soil is a thin layer of volcanic wash coming off those hills that comes down to hard pan right underneath there. So in this case, the grapevine roots are not running deep. They have to spread wide. And it's quick draining soil. So they have to irrigate or they could not grow grapes there.
What is hard pan? Is that like a compressed clay?
It's it's just completely combination of seabed, old seabed, and that kind of a thing. And it's almost impenetrable.
Okay.
But it does allow them to have caves, which actually these guys do have some aging caves, which I think is really cool.
So do they have different harvest times in the cool or warm growth or?
Yes. Yeah. Well, they can. It depends on the season and what what is nature's thrown at them.
Okay.
But yeah, they can. And generally, the cooler is going to have a later harvest than the warmer.
Because it's cooler, it's delayed the growth, so it gets longer hang time, and the warm is ripening more quickly. So
that's right. So you've got the grape. You've got a young grape that starts out with a ton of acidity and very little sugar, and you want to grow it to just that right balance that you're looking for. So I mean, you could let it go all the way crazy sugar, and you'll get a high alcohol, uninteresting, wine. So it's all about the balance, and that's where the the management of the vineyard really comes into play. Who was it that we were just drinking? They said really their whole point of what they thought was great grapes make great wine. That was the second to last wine we drank. Anyway, and they were right.
I don't
And
remember.
I should remember who.
Was it a Malbec?
What was the one we had right before the sparkling?
It was the one I said I was gonna buy like an entire case of, right?
Yes.
Isn't that the was it a Malbec?
You're right. It was the red blend. It was the Bodega Norton Privada. Red blend.
Yeah, Norton. Yeah, Norton.
Yep. Yes.
Yep.
And I think there's just, the more I learn about wine, the more it gets into that is great wine starts in the vineyard. You can't, I mean, you can make drinkable wine from, pretty much lots of things, but when there are great wines getting these 90+ point ratings on a regular basis, that starts in the vineyard. Absolutely, no doubt.
You can't just do it with the winemaker. It has to be through the whole growth process. And,
Right.
Yep.
Right. Let's jump over to the slides. Thank you.
You want
Enjoy a little
to
bit
go
more.
to the next one?
Yes, next one, please. All right, so here we have the Merlot grape. Comes from the French word merle, which is for blackbirds. And I thought, well, is it because they kept eating the grapes? Really, they just because it reminded them because it's such a nice dark grape. It does provide, as we can all see, incredible color. It is not unusual for Merlot to provide intense color and to be opaque. So it would be unusual to be able to see through a Merlot. They provide a ton of color, not nearly as much tannin, but lots of color. So here we have an intense outer layer. The fact that it doesn't have as strong of tannins is just an intrinsic part of the.
It's just a Merlot grape.
It's just a Merlot grape. So it certainly has very similar basic structure to the, with the intensity on the outside to what we would have seen with Cabernet Sauvignon or, even Tannat.
Does this same grape have a different name in different regions, or is it just always Merlot?
Good question. I can't think of a different one because you know somebody like Monastrell goes by
Right,
different names
right,
all the
right.
time. Mervedra / Monastrell.
Right.
Um,
Shiraz,
yeah, I can't think
It's
of
always
a
Merlot.
second Merlot
Okay.
name.
Because cab's always cab too, right?
Cab's always cab.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, but you're right. There's some of those that I mean,
Mhm.
especially the Mervedra grape. It's because they have a different name for it in Australia as well.
Huh.
Anyway, yeah.
Are those newer grapes? Like,
Mm-mm,
no?
no.
Okay.
I think part of it is
They're
how old they
lighter.
are,
Oh,
and that
okay.
they moved, and everyone gave it
Ah.
its own name
Okay.
in the day. So here's the estate. They've got kind of a great look going on there,
Yes,
right?
I love the truck too. That's
Yeah.
awesome.
So like I said, oldest family-owned winery in California, currently run by Jeff. Gotta love him. He's the president. Jim, Katie, and Rob Bundshu.
Is it Jeff with a J or Jeff with a G?
It is Jeff with a J.
Oh,
Yep.
there you
There we go. So the Merlot began planting in 1976. So they started in 1858. They did have to deal with phylloxera,
go.
and then they kind of had a problem, and they recovered with the with the putting in the new plantings. But 1976 is when they began with Merlot. Interestingly, this is the 2018 vintage we're drinking right now. There was no 2017 vintage because of the wildfires in California that year.
What about last year? What about 2020? Do we know?
I don't know yet.
Hmm.
So 2018 was the triumphant return. All sustainably farmed. Vines are hand tended, and the recommendation for this wine is that you could age it up to 10 years. So you could take it to 2028. It's got 14.5% alcohol, so it's got enough alcohol to get you there. There's a nice freshness, so I would say I wouldn't call it an acidic wine, but certainly it's fresh. It's got to where it could definitely keep moving on. It's got good structure.
But you feel like tasting it that you can, like you just said, it could definitely keep moving on. So you feel like, yeah, I could like it aged more.
Yes, there's a zinginess on the palate that's I end up imagining a wound up spring.
Okay.
All right, that's the image that comes to my mind as I let it sit on my palate, because it's still working on relaxing.
Okay.
And that's what tells me it has a bit more to go without just becoming uninteresting.
That's when you say it's a little uptight.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, this guy could be open another hour to give us a little bit of a different effect, which I love that it has that ability for a Merlot.
Yeah. I really like it now. So it's interesting that you're saying an hour from now.
Not necessarily better. I'm just saying different.
Okay. Okay.
It is different. So I totally opened mine around 7 and I had a little bit with a client and now it's a totally different beast.
Yeah,
So-
it is. It is.
So hers has been open an hour more than ours.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ours has been open 45 minutes.
Same.
Did you open it before we started? Yes, you did.
Yeah.
Okay.
But just a few minutes. But and it's relaxing. As it relaxes, it's becoming richer. It's getting more of that Merlot versus Cab quality. It's becoming easier to distinguish from a Cabernet Sauvignon as it relaxes. It becomes more velvety.
It is more velvety.
Yeah. So when it's a little more, when it was more uptight and fresh in the beginning, that's when it was kind of mimicking that I almost said an upright structure. Again, it's mind thing. It's the way that's not a term.
That's how you.
That's
imagine
how
it.
I imagine it. But that tighter cab structure. So
I like
as it relaxes, it's
yeah.
becoming its own thing.
In both, like I liked when we first opened it, I liked it from the beginning. I like the evolution of it as well. I don't know that I like one more than the other, but I do like both of them.
Well, that's one of my favorite things about wines. Is you talk about change, you say, well, I enjoyed it every step along the way. And that's what I love doing. That's why, and there are some people say, no, you open it, you let it sit for 2 hours, you don't touch it beforehand. And I like the evolution.
Yeah.
I like seeing what the wine's going to show me at different levels and maybe choosing my favorite moment.
No, I agree with Kiwi that like I totally when I opened it, I don't know, maybe 7:45.
7:45, yeah.
Ish. Because I was like, like 15 minutes out, we'll go ahead and open it.
Mm.
I took a sip and I was like, nope, and set it aside and kind of waited for it. And it probably took a solid 20 minutes for it to kind of like really settle in for me, but now it's been like really solid throughout. I think especially with food, I think this is a great food one.
Well, and there's that kind of Bordeaux throwback, that old world style really flourishes with food pairing.
Yeah.
And this is a great food wine. And it's one of those where, you know, it's Malbec, it's Merlot, it's Malbec.
How much have you had?
I haven't even finished my first glass. This is some good
No,
stuff.
I am actually feeling the 14.5%.
Well, it's a great Merlot, but yeah, you're talking about something that can easily stand up to a lean cut of steak.
Mhm.
No issue. I mean, this
Yeah.
guy's got, you know, it's got muscle. Like I said, elegant muscle.
Mhm.
It's a great Merlot, which is why I wanted to, you know, this is our first Merlot
Yeah.
that we're having, and I wanted it to be something, you know, a little special, something that would really kind of show off what Merlot can be. Let's jump over. We'll talk about the last few slides.
Okay.
None of them are electric.
Would you like to go to the next?
So here's the estate. So if we were to go there as a group, which we should,
Mhm.
Yes.
and enjoy the property.
Yeah.
So you see, by the way, this is that same lake. Like
Lake or bay? Oh, the lake on the
the
property.
lake from there.
Right.
There we go.
Ah.
Like your catfish in there.
Boom, boom, boom. All right. So
Don't switch too quick.
So here are the caves.
This is awesome.
Yeah, and by the way, so that's carved. That's not like, that is what the rock. So you can see why roots are not going through that.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like cement.
It looks like cement. It
Yeah.
does. Mhm.
What is that?
All right, so here we have scores on this guy, 90 plus as a regular event for these guys from Gundlach, Bundshu, and Merlot. So I'm thinking a no-brainer 90 plus, like, you know.
I mean, for me, I've liked it through every evolution of it. I would have said 92, 93. I mean, yeah.
Yeah. So you agree with them, you know,
Yeah, absolutely.
giving us, because that's the thing is 90, great. 90 is obviously outstanding, but
Mhm.
there is like that 90, when you say no, 92, that is a significant jump.
Right.
Mhm.
But what do you guys think?
I definitely like it better. We opened it maybe 15 minutes before 8. And with the first little bit, like I was literally going through the food, like, do I like it now? Because it was just like, this is okay. Like,
Yeah.
and so I was just going through the food, like, and then I got to the hot bacon hot bacon pepper jam. And I was like, ooh, I like the complexity of the two together. Like it really complemented that well. And granted, charcuterie doesn't go with everything. It's just what we have every week. So it was fun to do that. And then stopped eating a while ago, but as it's opened up, like I even just said to him before he poured my last glass, I was like, I went from like, this is okay to like, I like this as it evolutionized.
Funny, because I find that normally you and I have very similar wine tastes, but I have actually liked this wine through every part of it.
Did you try it when you first opened it?
Within 20 minutes?
15 minutes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
15 minutes.
20.
Yeah, that's funny because you and I usually are on the same.
Right.
Especially because maybe actually the color threw me off because it's so dark.
Yeah.
It is.
So I was like, ooh, it's gonna be like my heavy, bold cab that I love. And when it wasn't, it was probably just like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, like these guys are velvet. That is their thing. It's you know, it's it's a very plush wine.
And your expectation can certainly affect like how you feel about something.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, I think the color is just associates with me like with the dark, bold cabs, and it's not a cab. So I had that going in, that expectation going in. and because I don't drink a lot of Merlots, so that's why this is great to like mix it up. Like, hey, this could look like a cab. You could pour that for somebody and tell them you're serving them a cab, and they wouldn't know. It's
Right.
definitely not like a Pinot. So I mean, people would
Right.
believe you.
Right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Jeff, it's funny. Everybody in beer talks about mouthfeel. Clearly uses that exact terminology in wine, but it is. It's a very velvety mouthfeel.
Mhm.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the, kind of one of the biggest differences is, Cabernet Sauvignon can be a little prickly, a little rough, and Merlot, even when it has a nice structure, is still gonna give you a little hug, it's just, it's there, it's a velvety, it's got great structure, but it is a more gentle, rounded, grape, mouthfeel.
Mhm.
So let's see.
Any other ratings, comments, or?
I like it. I don't love it. I like this tremendously more while I was eating food.
With the food.
Yeah, we grilled a steak, and so kind of going, and we had some like Brussels sprouts. Julie, you mentioned bacon was funny because I literally just turned to her right before you made the bacon comment. Like, oh, the bacon goes well with this because we have a twice baked potato that has little pieces of bacon in it, and I was like, the bacon goes really well with this. And then you made mention of bacon. I was like, uh-oh, am I not muted right now? But but I thought that all of that played really well with the wine, and this was an excellent food wine. But before eating, and then now in the last 20 or so minutes, I've been like, yeah, it's all right, but it's not my favorite.
Okay.
See, and we've been drinking without food the whole time.
Right.
I have liked it the whole time.
Well, good. I'm glad.
It's
Yeah.
funny because about a month and a half ago, everybody's raving about one that I was like,
Yeah.
I will not say which one that was.
But no, but that's how I would, at the first time I was like, I'm glad, not the first time, the first glass, I was like, I'm glad I tried this. It's Merlot. Merlot is not typically something I buy, but I'm glad I tried it. Different, great. But now I'm like, I would buy this again. Like, into it. I would just let it open up longer before I started it. We had only had it open maybe 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's one of those things where I was about to say I'm proud to say, but that was the selection. I'm really happy to say that it is a Merlot of such high quality that it needs a breath. It's got that much going on.
Yeah, because even we didn't drink it within 10 minutes, and normally I guess we do.
Right now, I wanted to give at least 20 minutes on this because I knew
Right.
what we were getting into. So
Yeah, I let mine breathe for probably 10, 15 minutes, and I've liked it since the beginning. And I don't typically drink Merlot ever, but I think it's a solid choice as far as taste it with or without food.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
So Renee and I can drink this one together,
Yeah.
but not Julia.
That's right. Well, and I really wanted to give everyone to say, look, here's Merlot because people are coming back. Merlot is coming back.
Right.
Are we seeing this or what is the video saying?
The video seeing the shared
Just the screen. Just
Well,
the shared.
it depends how they have it. They could see us on the side like we are, or So
Okay.
what would you like for them?
Us because of the extended
Okay,
conversation.
so you
because,
would like for me to stop this then? Okay.
yeah. Well, of course, then I'm going to say about 30 seconds, and then we're going to switch back.
Okay.
But anyway.
Y'all
Yeah.
keep talking about bacon, and I like Merlots, and y'all killing me because we didn't have any bacon, but we have chocolate. Now I'm thinking about like chocolate covered bacon.
Oh yeah.
We've got some chocolate bits on our charcuterie, and I am loving the chocolate with this.
Oh,
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, Paul. Good point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. Chocolate's a fantastic pairing with this guy.
I had chocolate too. It was good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
Can't go wrong with bacon. I made some candied bacon a couple weeks ago. It was pretty good. Just some brown sugar on it, like caramelized bacon. It was great.
I'm wondering with people mentioning the chocolate, like right before we started, I had chocolate covered almonds, like
Yeah.
immediately before I let everyone in. So I'm
Okay.
wondering if that affected too, like my feeling. Mhm.
I kind of want a chocolate cashew right now.
Sure.
Nope, just the almonds, not the cashew.
Nope.
You can have the cashew.
No, I will have that.
Okay.
Okay. All right, let's jump in and finish up.
Wait,
See,
I
just
heard
answer.
a comment. Wait, who was talking?
It was me.
Okay.
There's a vote for
Never
pizza.
mind then.
We were eating tonight. Pizza is great.
So with it?
Nice.
Yeah.
Well,
The
yeah, it's
pizza
versatile.
Bacon pizza?
No.
Paisano.
I cooked. So
What?
I know.
I'm sorry, I don't know who you are right now.
I cooked a beautiful meat sauce and pasta. So I boiled water and I put pasta in it and then I made the meat sauce. But that's what I had with the wine in the beginning. And I love this wine. And I hadn't, like Renee, I steer away from Merlots. I more like the blends. But I really, really, really like this one.
Myra and I texted each other at the very beginning that we both love this wine.
Oh, good.
Oh, awesome.
Good. Well, that makes me happy. Because and I knew, because I'm like, all right, it's Merlot, let's introduce it. But
Mhm.
I think it's a beautiful wine.
I really
It
like
really,
it.
yeah, it made me happy. I was
Yep.
drinking this with my wine rep about 3 weeks ago, and I knew immediately this was going to be the Merlot that we were going to drink. You know, not the last, but the first.
Okay, there you
So
go.
good for Gundlach Bundshu. All right, let's jump back in. We'll finish talking about
All right.
the
You want to
show
go to the
here.
next?
Yes, please.
Okay.
All right, so here we are. We
Hold
always
on.
love to look at where in the world we are. So basically right in the center of the growing region. So wine growing region, US. Yep, we're right there. Makes
Yeah.
sense. Yeah. Kind of smack dab. If you can't
Mhm.
grow grapes there, where are you going to grow them? Obviously in Ohio. Wine production. I just still love this, so we're going to cover this a little in there. As much wine as we produce, we make so much.
Mhm.
France just makes so much wine, and so does Italy. And
So I'd
Spain.
love to see this because it says USA 22.3, but of that, I wonder what is California.
That's a really great point.
You know,
It's going to be
obviously we have, Washington, Oregon too, but
Right.
California probably like specifically Napa and Sonoma is just,
well. Honestly,
Overwhelming.
don't forget Paso Robles actually
Oh, that's
outproduces
right.
them.
I forgot about that.
Yeah,
I did
because-
forget that,
yeah.
so. Mhm.
So yeah, but California by itself would just
I
be.
mean, right?
If you did the West Coast,
That
it's
would be,
it's got to be 95%.
probably higher actually, but
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, crazy, right?
Yeah, I'll have to look for
We
that.
haven't had any wines from the US other than the West Coast, so,
Well,
I
no,
mean,
New Mexico.
did we have that?
Mexico one, didn't we?
Yeah, the Gruet for my
Oh,
birthday.
we did, that's
Yeah.
right. All right, forgot about that.
Gruet for my
so-
birthday.
So we had one.
Right. That's right. We did have one, and it's still out west.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not West Coast,
Technically,
but-
we could
Do Finger Lakes at some point.
the Finger Lakes. Yeah, we could.
Yeah.
Do Finger Lakes.
That's- They do make some really nice wine up there. Some
Do
nice
they?
Rieslings, and yeah, they do.
Okay,
Jeff, I would like some some recommendations. My brother's bachelor party is going to be up there, so we're going up there soon.
wow.
And the Finger Lakes,
Yeah.
I have very little help to give you. I'm sorry. I've tasted a few of them, and they're good.
Mhm.
There is one thing that holds me back. I'll tell you when we're not on the video. And it's not the flavor. The flavor is good. It's something else.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway, he's next.
Join our elite club of video people to hear Jeff's secrets next week.
That's right.
Exactly.
Exactly. It's in the after party.
Yes.
Next week's wine. We are going back to Italia. We're going to Italy.
Yes.
We're drinking an Italian white.
Huh.
Yep. It is the Unico Fior di Arancio. So
But it's not sweet.
it is not sweet.
Okay. All right.
It is dry. It is named after a region. So the Fior di Arancio it means orange blossom. And you will see why that name in this wine.
Okay.
It is a dry white, unlike any I've had before. My rep tricked me into tasting it by hiding what it was because he didn't want me to judge, and I don't want you guys to judge.
Okay.
But it is absolutely fantastic. Some of you in the audience have already had it, I know, but I got good reviews, and I really do love this wine. So
Based on the food pairings, I'm just looking, would sushi go with it?
yeah, you can go sushi.
Okay.
Sure, absolutely.
So after that last comma?
Yeah.
We could put sushi.
I think after that last comma, we should put soft shell crab sandwich, actually.
Oh, okay, there you go.
Now that I think about it, that would be pretty awesome.
Oh, okay,
Yep.
all right.
But
So
it's a
I'll
really,
make- I'll make sure I'm stamping next week.
it's such a great wine, and it is so small production and obscure that intriguing for me to get a presentation together for next week. We maybe do several slides on the week after or something.
It'll just be slides of Jeff and I like
Yeah, right.
roasting each other, drinking out of the bottle. That'll be it.
There is not a lot of info about this, but it is
Okay.
a really delicious wine. It's unusual and wonderful. So, all right. So that's next week. I hope you guys will join us. I think you'll be very, very, I think you'll really enjoy it. Let me just say that. I don't want to say surprise because,
Jeff, you've had that in the store for a little while, right?
what's that?
Have you had it? in the
Oh,
store?
yeah. Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, I've had that in the store for 3 months.
Okay.
Mhm.
So you have gotten reviews on it for sure then.
Oh, no one has said that they had anything but loved it. And there are no ratings on this. We're going to give Tipple's ratings. So,
Okay. Oh, we should start doing that.
and these are the Tipple's ratings.
Yeah. But yeah, but we can do polls and,
Yeah.
there you
Yeah.
go.
But yeah, this wine, we blind tasted it. It was somebody else. It was on a Wednesday, and I was there, and Jake and Mike, and we all drank it blind and said, I don't know what the heck this is because it doesn't taste like anything that I can identify,
Okay.
which is unusual for me.
Mhm.
But I love it. And so anyway.
So next week, you're gonna tell us how the rep tricked you.
Yes, well, he held back the name of the grape.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It was supposed to be on the video next week. Yeah, that's why I just said that.
We'll say it again next week.
This is not planned, obviously.
I don't know what you're doing. All right.
See, when I said next week, that was
That's
the clue, but the 14.5%, just like, you're like, yeah.
I'm nothing if not honest, maybe too much.
So
Right.
before we stop though, are there any more comments or opinions about this one?
All right, I'm seeing some hearts. Let me go to the people.
Okay. Wait, hold on. I don't know why it keeps saying invite. There we go.
So I'm really glad. I've seen like a lot, like 4 or 5 different screens, people really happy with this wine. That makes me happy.
Oh,
Especially
did you
from-
guys know you can do reactions too? Like you can go down to the bottom and do a reaction, like there's clapping.
How? Wait, what?
There we go.
There we go.
Kiwi did a heart.
Oh. Stop face.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah, that's what Chris Robin did
That's right.
too.
Who likes Elizabeth more than Jeff?
Yeah. I give no information. What is like, yes. Julie goes, no, see?
That's right. That would be the difference. Like Jeff brings all the schools.
Jeff does, that's what we're here for.
Well,
is
Wait,
for Jeff.
is that
I'm here to just get a buzz on drinking great wine. I don't know why you guys tune in.
is that showing our, what is it, millennialism or Gen X or Gen Z or whatever it is? If we use emojis now, isn't that what the thing is?
Yeah.
I don't know, we're Gen X. We're way before emojis.
Skinny
I know.
jeans and laughing emojis, like we're not allowed to use them anymore. It makes us.
No, I
Oh,
walked
that's
in.
what, yeah, because the
What?
Gen Z is making fun of millennials for using the laughing, crying emoji, yeah.
Having a side part, wearing skinny jeans,
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the fun things.
Yes.
Like you can pry my side part out of my cold dead hands.
No, see, I've evolved. I'm using the center part now because
You have the hair of 80 people.
All right.
There you go.
Yeah, let's toast and then we'll do all
Okay.
the other fun stuff.
All right.
All right. Thank you all for joining us and enjoying effing Merlot. It's the best. All right.